Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Ace Outdoors. I'm your host, Ben. Sorry for not uploading for quite a while there. I have like a sinus infection right now, which is pretty annoying. Anyway, so what's going on with BC, David Eby, and the current gun ban? Is it like Quebec? Have they officially signed on to confiscate firearms in the same way? Well, as far as we can tell,
that has actually announced that he's not even going to enforce federal gun laws in British Columbia. He will direct the police not to enforce federal gun laws that prevent abusers from accessing guns, that prevent gangsters from buying and selling handguns and semi-automatic weapons. It's ridiculous. And now he says he's going to get tough on crime. Give me a break. John, you have to go with the gangsters. You have to take their cars and their houses and their guns and enforce the law now.
Which means confiscating things like your quote-unquote assault-style firearms. So basically that was based off of what he had to say beforehand in the last election campaign. A lot of things have changed within that time period. There's been no formal collection date such as Quebec right now, so BC is still kind of in a gray area even though they have provincial support from the NDP government. And of course David Eby kind of likes to speak out one side of his mouth and talk out of the other, so it's tough to say like what he's actually going to do. He's a bit of a populist. I mean, I think David Eby is smarter than people give credit for. I think he's definitely probably a pretty calculated person if he's seeing that this is not going to play well with, I mean, some of his First Nation constituents, which make up a very solid NDP voting base for people like him. If he's seeing that the people like the blue collar union people are not going to want to support this, he may decide to pull support. So he's kind of in a gray area where his silence right now is actually kind of at our benefit because we're kind of waiting to see what he will actually do. With that being said, congratulations to Pierre, continuing to lead the Conservative Party. I think we definitely need to put our support behind Pierre for the upcoming election that's likely coming in the spring. And I can't see anybody else who would be better to lead our country than Pierre right now. He knows the struggles of the younger people. He knows the ins and outs of things like housing crisis that we're in right now. And I think he'd be the one to really pull us through. Of course, he has gained far more seats than any other Conservative has, like Scheer or O'Toole. And yeah, I just think he's our guy. So we're still running the Big Gary, Carney and the Chipmunk t-shirts. That half of the profit is going to the CCFR for, so there'll be a link for that here with the information you're seeing on the screen. Price all in on those is roughly $40. Of course, that's including the shipping, so shirt is about $30 and shipping is about $10. Everything, of course, goes back into the channel. A little bit like PBS. This channel is run by viewers like you, so I really appreciate everyone who's bought merchandise in the past and everyone who continues to support the channel. Thanks for being patient with me while I get over being sick. So another thing to note with David Eby potentially reversing this decision to go ahead with the assault weapons confiscation is that there's been a lot of issues with extortion right now in BC, and people are asking for things like emergency PALs, like authorizations to carry, other things like that. I know personally his government in the past has actually made it so it's not possible to even obtain an authorization to carry for the past 4 to 5 years while they've been in control. He may end up getting pressured from all these other cities that are his potential bread and butter cities that he needs to actually win in order to continue to be the premier. So he may just decide to pull that support and actually maybe silently support the gun side of things. For Eby to admit that people need firearms in order to protect themselves would kind of ruin the foundation of his party's kind of like mental gymnastics around firearms with like trying to ban them in order to like get votes in the Lower Mainland, because that's all he really cares about is places like Victoria and Vancouver, Burnaby, like whatever. So we'll just end up seeing what ends up panning out. But the way things are shaking out right now, especially with the federal NDP also dropping their support and WAP Canoe, I don't know. I'm thinking he might be on the fence. I think he's wobbling right now. And he's a smart guy as well. I mean, as much as I like to make fun of these people who are politicians, I mean, they are smart. And there's a reason why they're in the positions that they're in, and they've got to the top one way or the other. And I mean, you got to give them credit for that at least. But yeah, I just think maybe in this current political climate, it would be best advised that he probably drop that narrative and focus on keeping Canada safe, especially when right now he's calling the extortion crisis actually a terrorism crisis. Yeah, we'll just have to see what plays out. And I'll keep you guys updated for more videos coming out.